And otherwise, they're just ISOing and letting James Harden go at whoever he wants. And it makes it incredibly difficult because any help whatsoever, Jason, and it's an open three. And often, because the help has to come from the corner, we're talking about a wide open corner three, which is one of the best shots in basketball. And it was really noticeable last night that it was simple. The Rockets didn't run anything fancy. It was ISO ball, it was Morey ball, but it was incredibly effective because the Warriors couldn't do anything about it. If they helped, Harden killed them with the pass. If they didn't help, he killed them getting into the lane or with the step back three, Jason. I mean, do you feel like the momentum in this series has turned, and what do you think the Warriors do to adjust?
I don't know if it's a momentum shift. I just think the Rockets held serve. And I'm not going to lie to you, Ben. I was a little nervous because when the Warriors won games 1 and 2 pretty handily at home and the series shifted to Houston, I was concerned that the Rockets were not going to be able to match that intensity. However, James Harden, despite his injury to both of his eyes and the lacerations that he thought he had some cornea troubles. They came out and did exactly what they were supposed to do. They held serve. The series is 2-2, and now it's a best of three. But this is really the Western Conference Finals. This was the
Yeah.
West Finals that everyone wanted. You saw that last year where the Rockets are the only team in the league that have a legitimate chance of dethroning the champs, and you're seeing that. So right now it's a best of three, and we'll see what happens. But James Harden, not letting that injury stop him, has come out and played like a madman, and he's getting help from his supporting cast. So two well-balanced wins in a row from Houston. But obviously the hardest part, Ben, after those two wins is going back to the Bay and trying to win game five on the road. That's where I think the Warriors kind of wake up, and we'll see the old Warriors. But boy, am I glad this is a series.
You know, I have a few thoughts on the Harden thing that I wanted to run by you. The first is when I'm watching these games, Jason, and when I look at the stats afterwards, it doesn't bear it out. But watching the games, it feels this way. It feels like the Warriors should let Harden go one on one more. And I say that because as good as he is at scoring the ball, I don't know if you feel this way, but it really feels like a lot of the guys on that team really can't get anything going without him. The rest of that team, they just, other than Chris Paul, it doesn't feel like they're guys who can consistently generate offense. And it felt like watching the game last night in particular that all of the doubling on Harden kind of bails the Rockets out because PJ Tucker, uh, Amon Shumpert, even to a degree, Gerald Green, Austin Rivers, these are not fearsome guys in terms of getting their own shots. And I sort of felt like the Warriors gave them an out by just giving them wide open shots. And when you look at the end of the game, Jason, I mean, the thing that was just striking, and the broadcast mentioned this, but the Warriors really won almost everywhere. If you look at the stats for the game, I mean, they were a little bit worse at the free throw line, and that definitely hurt them. But they were right there with them rebounding the ball. They were had fewer turnovers. If you look at all the other things, it seems like the Warriors would have had a real shot. But the area they got absolutely killed was in three-pointers. The Rockets took 53s in game 4. The Warriors only took 33. And I say only with only a hint of sarcasm in my voice. But part of the reason for that was that the Warriors kept bailing the Rockets out by doubling Harden when he ISO'd. And it led to these wide open looks where guys were hitting some shots. And while the numbers, again, don't entirely bear it out, the fact is that shooting that 34% that they did from three correlates to over 50% from the floor when you're talking about the value of those shots. Because, again, when we're talking about the true shooting percentage, a 33.3% three-point shooter is equivalent to a 50% shooter. So they shot basically above 50% when you really think about it, Jason. And when you do that, you're obviously going to have a chance to win a lot of games. And I felt like a lot of those threes came from the fact that the Warriors bailed them out, gave Harden easy looks. If you're the Warriors, Jason, coming into game 5, what do you think? Do you give Harden the chance to be an attacker, or do you keep letting him be a distributor and try to take him out of the game more?
Well, I'll say this about James Harden, okay? He is the sword in the darkness. He is the watcher on the wall, and he is the shield that guards the realm of men. That's how much James Harden means to this team and to the league. He is one of the best players in the world when healthy. And I know he's going toe to toe with KD, but James Harden is just on another planet because as good as Chris Paul is, and as much leeway as Paul gives Harden, yet still has time to do his own thing, Harden getting the reins of that team is the best possible chance the organization has of winning. And he showed a lot of heart coming out with the injury to his eyes and still playing at an extremely high level. But if I'm a Rockets fan, I do worry because the way Kevin Durant's played this offseason, and now you're starting to see Steph Curry find his footing, scoring 30 points in game 4. I know he had that missed dunk at the end of, what was that, game 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a botch. But I think what Steph Curry had to do is learn to play alongside playoff mode Kevin Durant because KD put the Warriors on his back, and you saw Steph and Clay, who looks like he's gone, and even Draymond Green kind of take a back seat. Now Steph's starting to kind of get his shots and play in sync with Durant. I think that increases the Warriors' chances. But you look at these teams with loaded starting fives, the Warriors, the Sixers, where's the depth on the bench? So that's why I think the Warriors are struggling, but I ultimately do still think they pull the series out.
I mean, it's going to come down to Harden, Jason. I mean, I'd give the slight edge to the Warriors, but it comes down to Harden. The first 2 games, he was very good. He had 35, 29 points. He had a lot of turnovers, as he often does. He played well the first 2 games. The last 2 games, he was a different type of player. And I think it's very easy to look at game 4, Jason, and take a look at his stats at face value, which are impressive. He had 38 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists with only 2 turnovers. But the other thing, Jason, was the number of hockey assists he had. There were numerous plays where he kicked to an open shooter. The Warriors ran out to contest. That guy passed off to a wide open shooter in the corner. And that's where he's killing the Warriors because when they double him, they give wide open threes, especially in the corner, they're going to get absolutely murdered. I'd rather him get his 50 and limit everyone else than let him get the passes. But at any rate, Jason, there is one more series here, and I feel like this is the
Wait,
series that. Oh, 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 oh.
while we're on the subject, I'm getting a little fired up talking about
Oh,
this. So
boy.
I know you want to get into the Nuggets and the Blazers, rightfully so. We'll end on that, but I just have to do my heat check for the week. So DeMarcus Cousins goes down for the postseason. Stop laughing at me, all right? I'll drive to Pittsburgh right now and play wiffle ball with you, okay? Um, DeMarcus Cousins injured himself yet again, done for the postseason. But now there's stories coming out in the media, and Steve Kerr's kind of hinting at this as well, that DeMarcus Cousins is trying to come back and play again this postseason. He's been getting some workouts in, has been relatively pain-free. If the Warriors make a run to the conference finals and then ultimately the NBA finals, Cousins is going to try and play. And I know they have Bogut and Looney play some minutes at center, and Draymond Green is their small ball 5 in their death lineup. But I think DeMarcus Cousins, just for his own long-term health, should not come back this season. If the Warriors win, and I get his competitive fire, he wants to earn that championship ring. But if the Warriors win it this year, he's getting that ring. He needs to be smart about this, Ben. He needs to sit out the remainder of the playoffs, get healthy, and get himself a contract. Because right now, I don't know any teams outside of maybe the Dallas Mavericks that would even take a flyer on Cousins because as talented as he is, he's had some tough luck injuries over the course of his young career. So if you're DeMarcus Cousins, be smart, don't do this to yourself, and come back strong in the summer.
It's a great point, and I completely agree with you because he really has to take a look at his career. He's a big man with lower body injuries. That's not a recipe for success or longevity. And Jason, I know I'm moving on, but I can't wait, Jason. I don't get excited as much as I used to when I was a kid, but one thing that excites me is just great playoff basketball, great team basketball. And we were just talking about one of the preeminent big men in the league in terms of Boogie Cousins. The other just otherworldly big man who has been playing these playoffs, Jason, my hero of the week is Nikola Jokic, who, in between breaking microphones in his interviews, has been absolutely the best player in the playoffs. With all due respect to Kawhi Leonard, Jason, I don't know that any player has been more valuable to his team than Nikola Jokic. He carried them over the Spurs in the first round of the playoffs, almost averaging a triple-double. 23, 12, and 9, Jason. 23, 12, and 9. Was shooting over 30% from three, was almost blocking a shot a game, had over a steal a game. I mean, was just everything they needed. Very good defensively, by the way. Was not a good defender in the regular season. A lot of the advanced metrics folks and a lot of people around the league questioned whether he'd be able to keep it up in the postseason. Instead, Jason, he has elevated his game. He's playing even better. And now, against the Portland Trailblazers, Jason, he's averaging nearly 27 points, 13 rebounds, and almost 10 assists. He's almost up to a triple-double during the playoffs, Jason. And if that's not enough, he's shooting over 50% from three in this series. He has been unstoppable and played, this is not a misprint, Jason. He played 65 minutes against Portland in the 4 overtime classic. And then after that crushing loss, managed to lead his team to victory in game 4 with a triple-double after playing 65 minutes, followed that up by playing 39 just 2 days later. Just absolutely incredible, Jason. I can't say enough. I was a little dubious. I wasn't sure he'd be able to do it. And he has shown up as very well the best player in this entire playoffs. I have been blown away. He's been fantastic on both ends and deserves just immense credit for keeping the Nuggets in this series, because without him, Jason, make no mistake, this series might already be over if it was not for him. They've won 2 close games, and both of them he was extraordinary in. If he's not there, I think Portland's already won this series, Jason.
Oh, Joker's been incredible, and I would take that even a step further. I say without him, they don't even make it out of the first round, because you saw the Spurs take
Oh,
Denver to
absolutely.
7 games. But I think pound for pound, dollar for dollar, Portland Denver has been the best overall series. I know there's a lot of hype surrounding Houston and Golden State, and the Raptors Sixers series has had its fair share of theatrics and the drama in the Bucks Celtics series with Kyrie Irving. But this has been the best series for the pure basketball fans that are out there. I know what I'm doing. The second I kick you off the phone, I'm going to cozy up and watch this Game 5 swing game that is going to have a big impact on the outcome of this series. Now, you mentioned the play of Jokic and Jamal Murray, and they have been great. But you have to wonder what they have left in the tank, because you mentioned after the quadruple overtime classic where Rodney Hood, of all people, was the hero, Portland could have been down and out, but they came back. That was a must-win Game 4 to level up the series. Let's see what they have left in the tank. And I know you want to get into Portland's situation a little bit, but what a series this has been all in all.
Yeah, I mean, you said it though. Portland has been incredible too. I mean, as good as Jokic has been, Damian Lillard throughout these playoffs has been incredible. And the guy who's really stepped up in this series has been CJ McCollum, who has just really taken everything that Damian Lillard lacked in a couple of these games, and he's made up for all of it. In that quadruple overtime game, McCollum hit every big shot, Jason. Had 41 points and has just played really, really well in this series. He's made really smart decisions, had 29 points in game 4, and he can just get what he wants. I said this to you after game 1, and I say it again now. The one quibble I have with the way that the Blazers are playing is that I feel like they're rushing just a little bit. I feel like if I'm the Blazers, I just feel like I can get what I want a little bit more. I don't think that the Nuggets really have the personnel to guard out in the perimeter, and I think they have to be patient with this. They have to run their actions, but I have to be honest, I picked Portland. Right now, I actually feel that Denver has the advantage. Similar to the Raptors series, I feel like Denver has kind of taken the reins back, and a big reason for me, Jason, has been that Paul Millsap has played out of his mind this series. And I don't know that you look at his numbers and you say, oh, Paul Millsap, great player. But what he's done in this series is that he's played very, very good defense, both on the perimeter and inside, and has absolutely dominated the, I will air quote it, big men of the Portland Trailblazers, because there's no one who can play him. And as a result, he's averaging a double-double in this series. He's been a defensive rock. He's shooting over 55% from the floor, and he's just getting whatever he wants. And it's causing Terry Stotts just pull his hair out. He doesn't know what to do with Millsap anymore, and it's a far cry from the first round where Millsap looked like he